Welcome to Three Can Keep a Secret, a Pretty Little Liars rewatch podcast. We will discuss the show, rewatch the episodes, and just generally go over the absolute insanity that was this television show. Our episodes will be released bi-weekly, so keep a lookout every other week for new episodes. My name is Claire. I use any pronouns, and you can find me on Twitter and on TikTok at Claire Crees.
Hi, I'm Emily, pronouns she, her. You could find me on TikTok at StardustM and then on Twitter and Instagram at _StardustM.
And my name is Mel. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me on social media at Melvin Culpa.
So new podcast.
The editors of Star Wars TikTok micro influencers have come together and have unionized and have decided Pretty Little Liars is the piece of media we need to discuss.
We need to talk about because it's fucking crazy. And why were we allowing? Why was I, as like a 14-year-old, allowed to watch this show? It was everything to me though. When I was like 14, like the show, like it was like everything. It's what I wanted to watch it so badly. I remember when we got Netflix and I could finally watch it, I was like so excited.
Yeah, this was probably like the first show I watched on like a streaming platform, which is insane to think about now.
Yeah, it was the first show that I'd like binged on a streaming platform and then went over to watch it weekly because I had like caught up. And so
Yeah.
I think I was watching season 3 or 4 weekly. I think it was 3 because I remember, well, oh wait, how does season 3? I definitely remember watching all the Ravenswood stuff live.
Not Ravenswood. Yeah. Yeah,
But I think I also watched Halloween Train live.
I watched the show when I was in middle school and I caught up only for the last season. Like I started watching it pretty close to the end. And so it was only what, like season 7, season 6. Were there 7 seasons?
Yeah.
Was when I was like caught up, which like man, season 7, you were crazy.
This is my reveal. I did not watch it in high school. I saw it on Tumblr, like through GIFs, and I had a very different perception of what the show was about. I think that just had to do more with being like a young lesbian on online. Because I thought this show was way more gayer than it is. Even though this show has its moments, we'll get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But in like 2020-ish, 2021, that early the last couple years, I decided that, oh, why not? Like let's see what was going on there. I won't lie, I won't pretend like Mike's video coverage of the Pretty Little Liars series did not pique my interest. Um and yeah, coming into it, I think I've watched fully like the first like 2.5 or 3 seasons. Beyond that, baby, it's the Wild West. It will be a live experience for me. I'm very excited to see Hello Sister live. That's gonna be a good day for me personally. So
Yeah, I never finished the show. I had watched everything and I had been there for the like last like big A reveal of season 6. And then I watched like a little bit of season 7, but I kind of lost interest in it. But then kind of the same thing. Like I had watched Mike's video about it and I was like, God, this show is crazy. And then Claire and I were talking about it because we were talking about How to Get Away with Murder, and we somehow found ourselves on the subject of Pretty Little Liars.
Both
And we're
shows that
like,
are absolutely insane. Yeah,
wait,
I season 7 was like, not to be like season 7 is when it got bad because like it was always kind of bad, but like it was just like why are we making a whole nother season with like a time jump when we just revealed who A was and then they were like, quick, we need another A for like one season. It was just so like, yeah, it was not. I don't even really remember much of what happens in season 7 other than like the like finale. Um, but it was crazy. But yeah, I did in fact watch all of it because I feel like at that point I was like, I'm in it now. Like I've already watched 6 seasons of this nonsense. Like let's just round it out. Um, so yeah, I have in fact watched every episode of Pretty Little Liars. I also did watch the like Ravenswood spinoff, which was terrible. Let me tell you, it was really bad, which was really disappointing to me as like a like young teenager who was like obsessed with Caleb Rivers and was like, oh my god, there's a spin-off show about him that they made him leave the main show for a little bit to go do, and then it was terrible. So, and then I watched like I don't think I finished what The Perfectionists or whatever, the one with like Ali and Mona, but I definitely at least like watched some of it.
I didn't see any of that. I think I watched a few episodes of Ravenswood, if I'm remembering correctly.
Crazy too, because it
I
was
didn't
like
even
a web
try with
series too. Like I had to go to some like weird ass website to watch it. Like it was not like on television. I don't really know. And it was also they're like, what if there were like ghosts in Pretty Little Liars? And I was like, I mean, I guess like that's not, we've never had any kind of like supernatural element on this show, but sure, this town is haunted.
and then it's never brought up again. Caleb comes back to the main show and there's absolutely no mention of ghosts being a
And
factor.
he comes back and he's all like haunted, and it's like, well, like I don't know what to tell. Why did you even stay there in the first place? Like it was crazy.
He saw his head on or his face on a gravestone.
I forgot about
How
that.
could you not stay?
And it was literally like him with like the like old age filter slapped on it, like on a head, like a tombstone. Oh my god.
Tyler, I'm so sorry they did that to you.
They were like, you're gonna leave this like pretty successful like network television show to go do some like garbage web series about your character and then just come back in like a season, like or like a 6 episodes or however long he was gone.
And and then we're not going to mention like anything that happened in that because people did not like it. So
what about the newer one? God, what is it called? Original Sin? Is that what it's called? Pretty Little Liars Original Sin?
yes, I watched the first season of that one.
I watched one episode of that, and it was on a Discord call that
I think we watched it together, and we had a collective moment where we all were like, "Is that a penis?"
Literally, I was like, "Oh, this is not a network television show anymore."
Yeah,
it is very different.
It is very much like they watched Euphoria and were like, "We need to get on that kind of vibe for this show."
Yeah, like it's a lot, and like I don't want to say twist, but like what you find out at the end too, like it is a lot darker than it's a lot heavier subject material than the original Pretty Little Liars series, and it is very weird that they still tie it into it because like at one point they go and ask about like Bradley, and it's like, oh hey, yeah, that's taking place in the same universe. That's cool.
So is it like, are they supposed to be like occurring simultaneously, or is this like?
No, it's a current day show because
So they're like, dang, remember 10 years ago in Rosewood, Pennsylvania?
they're like in a town that's like a little bit in Pennsylvania, but like it's close to Rosewood. And then at the end, it's like the biggest kind of reveal name drop connection is that Imogen, who has been pregnant the whole series, is going to give her baby to Arya and Ezra. Like they're gonna adopt the baby, but then apparently in season 2, which I haven't watched, but apparently in season 2, which it has another big connection because the therapist from Pretty Little Liars is in season 2, and she's like therapizing the people because she's like, I got a lot of experience with this. Apparently Imogen's like, oh, I didn't end up having them adopt my baby because I got a weird vibe from that Ezra guy. And I was like, look, I agreed. When that happened, I was like, do not give that man a child. However, I'm like, that is a little bit revisionist history.
Yeah.
Because the Pretty Little Liars show never tells you that Ezra is a bad guy. So I'm like, this is clearly like the writers seeing fans being like, hey, what the fuck? And being like, never mind.
No, because you have to remember that like Ezra and Arya are the only couple who is literally together from episode 1 until the fin. I mean, they're like on and off at points, but like they truly are together the entire
And
show.
once again, the show completely validates their relationship
Yeah.
when they end up getting married and saying they're going to adopt children together. So like,
It takes like one episode for them to decide that it's like fine for them to date. Like by the end of the pilot, they're like literally like, this is okay.
We can talk about that more. But like, yeah, it's like I don't like, so like I look, I agree, but I was like, the narrative of Pretty Little Liars is not signing on to this narrative that Ezra has a weird vibe to other people except for Mike.
Mike Imogen.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's I don't know. I haven't watched season 2. I don't know what's happening there.
Perhaps in another life that will be discussed. But I guess then it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, the yellow top in the room, if you will. The pilot episode of Pretty Little Liars. What are our thoughts?
Yeah.
What's the vibes?
So, should we do a brief synopsis first?
Yeah. All right. I wrote a little synopsis. Let me set
please,
the scene.
Please share.
I was literally laughing so hard. So we are in a small town called Rosewood, Pennsylvania. It is summer of 2009. So let's all imagine. And a 15-year-old named Allison De Laurentiis has gone missing on the last night of summer. And the main events of the pilot take place a year after that, on the 1-year anniversary of her disappearance. And her best friends Arya, Emily, Hannah, and Spencer have all kind of drifted apart, and Arya has just returned from like a full year abroad with her family, and they all start receiving text messages from this like anonymous number referring to themselves as A, who like knows secrets about their lives. The specific secrets in question are that Arya is hooking up with her new English teacher. Emily kissed her new neighbor Maya. Spencer has been flirting with her sister's fiance, and Hannah has been caught shoplifting from the mall. And all of them sort of initially suspect the messages are from Allie, hence the A, but her body is then found like outside of her old house. And then after they all attend her funeral, they receive another message basically saying that like whoever A is not gone and continues to know all of their secrets. And that's where our pilot ends.
It's a crazy first episode of TV.
No, it's kind of brilliant. Like I definitely was like, I understand why I watched this as like a however old I was, and was like, I will be tuning in. I will be streaming.
Yeah.
Like,
and they set so many little things up, like the Jenna thing, and that's a really big one in that. But there's the Jenna thing. There's like why Hannah's dad left. Where is Emily's father? Afghanistan.
because this is 2010, and so somebody is in Afghanistan.
It's a beautiful
Somebody's in
period piece.
Afghanistan.
Priest?
It is.
Beautiful piece.
Priest. The flip phones, they're also good. The
No,
phones
okay.
in this, like,
when Arya got her first text that was like, "Ooh, why are you kissing your teacher?" the slow zoom in onto her flip phone screen, and just like the like 10-second pause just to read that whole text, because it's like 6 lines of text, So good. It is so
We
good.
need to go back to that because I watch shows now and someone gets a text on like their iPhone and they show up for like 1 second and it's all zoomed out and I can't read it. Meanwhile, on this show, they were like, you are gonna get like a full minute to read every text message.
Yeah.
The font size is like massive and we're like zoomed all the way in on these people's phone screens. And like I appreciate that because I need to know what A has to say.
And then half the time they're also reading it aloud,
Yeah.
so it's the double. You're like really getting the message.
There will be a test. You need to have it memorized.
But we also have the very important every episode we get this, we'll be going over the night Allison disappeared, which is a huge moment in this show. Obviously, it kickstarts. But if you've not watched Pretty Little Liars, this is the longest night in the history of man. There's so much that happens on this night, and a lot of it is very important. So this first night, the girls are drinking in the barn on the last night of Spencer's barn that she has in her backyard on the last night of summer. Allison shows up late and scares them. So it's like a little jump scare at the beginning. Then eventually everyone falls asleep and Emily, Aria, and Hannah wake up and notice that both Spencer and Allie are gone. Spencer comes back to the barn and says, Allison is missing. I can't find her, and I think I heard a scream. So that is the establishment of what we know so far about the night Allison disappeared.
The best part of this scene that we like see many different parts of throughout the series is that Spencer is like not at all concerned. She's just she's like, yeah, I think I heard her scream, like totally monotone. And I'm like, so your best friend like ran off into the night. You woke up, she wasn't there. You looked everywhere for her, which I'm like, where were you looking? And then you heard her scream and you're just like reporting this back to everyone, being like, yeah.
It's also confusing to me, especially knowing eventually you know what like Allison's parents were doing that night. When did they call the police? Was it immediately after that in the early hours of the morning? Did they wait fully until the next morning and then call the police? Did they go to Spencer's parents? Like, I don't think we ever find out after that moment how the rest of the like, okay, Allison is gone, like happened.
Yeah, the immediate aftermath of her disappearance is like not really a thing. And it's also like how soon after that did Arya's family like hop on a plane to Europe? Because like the pilot takes place exactly 1 year after she disappears, and they're like, we've been gone for a year. Like a week later, where they just like, we are going to Iceland. Like,
and it seemed like it was not a plan. Like it does seem like it was
yeah,
directly because of Allison's disappearance.
Which is suspicious as fuck. Let's be real. What?
No, literally, like
if I was the town, I would really be like, hey, maybe we just like investigate that family.
maybe if they like investigated Arya's dad. Like another thing that I didn't even mention in my little synopsis is that like prior to like Allie's disappearance, her and Arya had caught Arya's dad like in his car having an affair with, because her dad teaches at like the like local college, like having an affair with one of his students. And that's another like reason why they think these messages are coming from Allie, is because like they're all about things that like only Allie would have known about, like that incident with her dad, and like some of the other stuff is also like stuff that they had only told Allison. And so that's also like when they get back, her dad is like, oh, are you still like gonna not tell your mom that I cheated on her?
No, that was one of those things where it was like, I know that we're obviously, this is a television show, like we're getting establishing information about all these characters, but the fact that like Arya's mom makes this big production of being like, okay, son, we're gonna go to the garage. Let's give Arya and dad a moment to say anything that could be potentially incriminating. And then he's like, wait, let me level with you. And just like he is so suspicious, and he is Rob Lowe's brother, so like already my radar is like going off, like I'm like, whoa, something wrong is happening here. But like, what the fuck? I like that they made it seem like literally anyone in the town could have done it, but it's also like we're just getting to know this character. The first thing we know is he's a cheater, and it's really weird how much he doesn't want Arya to say shit.
He's a cheater. He doesn't want Arya to say it, and the only other person who knows about his cheating is dead, and not his daughter.
And they left town immediately after she disappeared, like for his sabbatical.
And this is not something that comes up until several seasons later that like they even kind of suspected, but it's also not for any of those reasons, really.
Yeah, he's also very deeply involved in this whole event in a completely different way. So
also, I hope you like the color yellow and a ruffle tank top. Because you'll
it's so
see
recession
that
core.
a lot. The town of Rosewood seemed to have made it out of the recession very well.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the fact that Rosewood might have the highest rate of pedophiles per capita. That is probably all of the pedophiles come to that part of Pennsylvania and are like, we will keep the economy fine because we love children. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Well, that's like there's a whole thing about like Spencer always stealing her sister's fiancés, and I'm like, well, why is everyone her sister is dating a pedophile? Like,
yeah, they're like, oh, you only want to have your sister's boyfriend. So I was like, okay, there's a difference between a young teenage girl having a crush on a guy and that man returning that affection when he's one, dating her sister, two, a full adult. Like, hello, some of this is not on her.
No, literally. Like Melissa, I feel like you need to like think about the men that you're dating and less about the fact that like they are like that your sister kissed them. Like, why are they kissing her? Who's a minor?
Like, why is Ren so immediately so gung ho to give her a massage in her
like,
itty bitty bikini?
Time they meet, like
hello,
Ren. Oh man.
Don't piss me off, Ren.
The best part is when you like think he's not gonna be a character anymore, and then he like comes back onto the show and like tries to initiate a relationship with Spencer, and it's like, well, one, she's still a minor, and two, like you actively were engaged to her sister, remember? Like, it's crazy.
Oh, and then also tries to then initiate a relationship with her friend.
I forgot about that. It is also like every love interest on the show has to date at least two of the like four main characters. Well, including Allison. Like,
yeah, the only love interests that get away from this are, in fact, Emily's love interest. But all of Emily's love interests, basically, except for one, are almost the worst love interest on the show. Like, Ezra always at the bottom, always terrible. But Emily's are not much of a step up. No. They get a pass because they're her age.
That's the only
thing. The bar is really in hell.
The bar is like not one of them is an adult and one of them is a minor. And Emily's meeting that at least.
Yeah. We do have also a big, I guess, plot thing in the show is Arya meeting Ezra Fitz, who once again, if you have
this scene in the bar, they meet in like a bar basically, and it's like, first of all, the whole scene gets recontextualized once you watch the like more of the show, because then you're like, oh, also I know about some other things that are going on.
If you're watching it for the first time.
Yeah. This scene was making me laugh hard though, because like they're like in this bar and Arya's trying to be some like cool artsy like writer, and Happiness by the Fray is playing, and I love this song. And then he's like, you're a writer, you have great taste in music, I want to get to know you better. And then it cuts to them like making out in the bathroom. Oh my god, I literally was laughing so hard. Like it's so
Yeah, I think sorry. I am now thinking about it again because obviously, but the fact that the information that we know about Ezra later on in the show, the way that he asks all of the questions he does to Arya in this first interaction, it's like, oh, so you were like trying to give yourself like plausible deniability. Like you made it so she could lie to you.
Yeah, because that is important. I guess not important, but like initially, before it is revealed that Ezra is Arya's teacher, Arya kind of leads him to believe that she is in college. Okay. However, once he knows that,
Right,
that's the
right.
thing, is it's like Arya, my queen, like what are you doing a lot of the time? But also like it is ultimately on him to be like, no, we cannot continue to be in a relationship because I am literally your teacher. And it's also like they have this whole thing about like no one can know about them. The very first scene in the classroom, he looks directly at her and goes like, "Holy crap!" And everyone looks at
there's
her.
and then later she goes, I don't want to get you in trouble. Girl, worry about yourself.
Like, yes, he is going to go to prison, but also like
I don't want to get you in trouble. How about I don't want to be a victim? Like, who is like, no.
like
And then he
personally,
kisses her again.
I think I would not want to be in a relationship with someone who finds out I'm a 16-year-old and also their student and is like, this is fine.
This is fine.
Yeah, let's
And
make out at your friend's funeral. What?
why is he at the funeral too? I have so many
Literally at
questions. Why
her
the
best
fuck
friend.
is he
That's
even
what, okay.
there?
Literally, one of my notes is why is Ezra at Allie's funeral? We don't get an explanation for this really. I mean, I guess yeah, with like information we learn about him later, you're like, I guess, but like it, yeah, like it's like first of all, why is he even here? And then they start like making out. It's so like the whole like plot for them of the first like however many seasons being like we can't let anyone find out about us. It's like how does everyone not know? They're like going on dates like in public. They're like kissing at a funeral. Like they're like acting like that at school. Like I
There's so
feel
many
like
times that like
everyone knows.
Ari will go into his classroom like just like her to like talk to him. And it's like a suspicious amount of time.
Like
With the door closed.
Yeah.
That's the one that's really crazy to me.
She's like leaning over his desk, like, hello, your faces are 5 inches apart.
No, sometimes I do think what would it be like to be like just like a student in any like teen show like Glee or a show like this where it's like what is your day-to-day class schedule like? Because all of these other kids are like doing this random fuck shit and you just have to be like, oh, Arya's at it again. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Oh
do you
fuck,
learn anything? Like,
like you're like, oh, some girl disappeared last year. Now she's dead. All of a sudden, these girls are all friends again. After
there's
not talking to
something
each
about
other for a
there's
year,
this
they're all
scene in a
missing
later
class.
episode when like Arya and Ezra are like in a fight about something and they start like arguing in class about like To Kill a Mockingbird and everyone else in class is like what's going on? Like can you imagine you're just trying to like attend English class and like your teacher has like crazy beef with one of your classmates and turns out they're like looking like imagine like if you went to Rosewood High and then like however many years down the line you find out that like Ezra and Arya are getting married and you're like um
I know someone made a crazy TikTok who went to high school with them.
or it's like when I it's also like when he gets like a new job and so he's like not teaching there anymore and she's like still in high school and they're like oh my god we can like go public with our relationship now. No, first of all she's still a minor and second of all if it's like the second he leaves the school and you're like we're dating everyone's gonna be like so you were dating when he was your teacher.
Like you're still 17, so
Literally.
that's still illegal. Like no matter how you split it, it is illegal. And oh god, Arya, like she has other love interests too that are like they make almost every other love interest that Arya is interested in her age. And then it's always like, no, but Ezra. Hello? No. Call the police.
Because she is like, she's so mature for her age. She's not like other high schoolers, so she can't date other high schoolers. She has to date like an adult man who is her English teacher. Like, it's so God.
Like, maybe if you tried dating one other guy besides like No Con, like you'd be better off.
Oh, maybe you didn't date like the worst guy at your high school. Like, I promise there are other 16-year-olds in the world that you could be dating right now.
Just don't date. She's always like so upset when like they like school functions happen and they like can't go together. He's like there as a chaperone.
Oh my God. Or when they have the like masquerade dance at school and it's so, first of all, like what like public high school in Pennsylvania is like has the budget for some of the like school dances that they're having are like crazy intense, and I'm like, my school dances, like we had like paper streamers and like that was it. Like, I don't know how y'all's public high school is affording all this, but also just like, yeah, like have you yeah, and then like there'll be so many like plot lines where she's like, yeah, I'm gonna like go on a date with another high schooler, and he's all like, oh my God, like why are you doing this to us? And it's like, well, oh my God, yeah, no. Ezra Fitz, like prison, jail time, etc. Like, it's so bad. I can't even do it.
It's so dark. And it gets worse.
No,
like this
literally.
episode, it's already so bad, but it gets worse.
And the show, and mind you, like the entire 7-season run of this show, they are like wanting you to root for them so badly. And it's like there is a lot of problematic stuff happening in this show. And like as a like young teenager watching it, I didn't pick up on a lot of it. But even at that point in my life, I was like, this is not a good relationship that I could be in support of. Like, even me as a child was smart enough to realize that like I didn't really want to root for Ezra Fitz and Arya Montgomery to like stay together.
Nope.
Yeah.
And they do.
I will say, as someone who once again was like seeing this from like the sidelines, I did think that Ezra and Arya were like a not like a crack ship, but it was one of those things where like the fandom fixated on it, and it wasn't like no, they had the full Marlene signature. Like what
Like they're the first couple to kiss on the show.
And I feel like they get the most screen time of all of the couples. Like
it's
they are
like,
constantly.
One thing that stuck out to me watching this episode is that like at the start of the show, Arya is like very much the main character. Like this whole episode is about her with like little moments of the other girls, and then like as time goes on, it gets more like it's about all four of them. But I was like watching this, and it is like this was like the Arya Montgomery show that had like other characters on it. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like I did forget like how it does really feel like this first episode is setting her up to be the main character, because it starts when she moves back from Iceland. It's her in the intro doing the shush thing, and they never changed that. Like yeah, and like it's hers is the first love interest that gets introduced. None of the other, like except for Ren, but like we know that Ren isn't really a viable love interest, even though Ezra should not be a viable love interest either. But
Maya also gets introduced technically.
oh, true.
But
yes,
I don't feel like it was in the same way that Ren and Ezra were, mostly because she's, you know, Emily's age. But
yeah, I also forget about like Maya because, spoiler, she does not make it to the end of the show.
Maya, you will always be famous to me.
Really?
We were talking about like we wanted to highlight like our favorite episodes, our favorite outfits of the episode, and I think Maya's intro outfit is my favorite of the episode because she's just so like, oh my gosh, hey Emily, and so like cunty, and then her hair is beautiful. She has that cute little like orange like shrug moment, and she's just so like peppy and like I don't know. artsy doesn't feel the right word, but she smokes weed, so for the time period, I feel like that means artsy. And
Yeah.
so I just
Her mom played the
obsessed.
cello.
Exactly. They're opening like a conservatory or something, and that's why they're messing up the backyard. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like tearing
Yeah.
down the gazebo and putting a like some sort of
Studio,
like
I think.
studio out there, and I'm like, okay, like y'all
Yeah.
moved in like yesterday, like you haven't even like moved your stuff into the house yet, and you're like tearing down the gazebo.
She goes like, my parents are here. I'm like, the movers are actively moving boxes into your home, and your parents are like, yeah.
And you're smoking
Also,
weed, and it's like 2010. Like,
no, literally. Okay, also followed by I'm sorry, that also reminded me of one of what I think is the objectively funniest scene in this episode, where Emily goes to visit Maya or something, and the movers are dumping all of Allison's trash into this huge trash bin. However, that is the only trash they have moved into that trash bin. You can see very visibly there is nothing else in there, and it's a gigantic trash bin.
It's like a dumpster. It's like a dumpster you would rent for like moving or like home renovation projects when you're taking your tenants out, but like they're just dumping like 5 boxes worth of shit into it.
Of a dead teenager's shit. Like what?
it's also like, why didn't Allie's family like take that stuff with them? Like, I understand
she's like,
fresh
oh, it's
start
just
and all that, but it's like,
put it in storage.
yeah,
She's like, it's just in my room. What?
like in the basement. Like, I don't know. It was very interesting. And then they're like throwing it away immediately, and it's like maybe like her friends might have wanted some of that. I don't know.
Yeah, because like Emily is clearly like really like thrown off
Yeah,
by that.
it's crazy. And it's also like this is before like she's been missing for a year, so everybody's kind of like she's probably dead, but like they have not like found her body yet when this is happening, so like she could still be alive. Like,
Yeah. This is the one where I a little bit understand, like I can see that maybe they were planning the show properly, so things we know later why especially Jessica De Laurentiis would be like, whatever. Not whatever, but like based on things later, you're like, this is actually maybe a moment where they were seeing ahead to like what the actual plan of the show was. But also, I will note something I thought was interesting. Emily is the first person to say Allison is dead, which is really interesting because then I think she is the first person to lead the Allison is still alive charge.
because like obviously we know that Emily had a more complicated relationship with Allison than probably any of the other girls, just because of like they kissed and maybe had some other stuff going on. But like, yeah, it is very interesting, like her relationship to Allison. And she always like, I think she's usually the one who will like defend Allison more than the other girls, even though like knowing what we know about their relationship, I'm like, my queen, like she just was like being phobic to you, I fear. Literally the very first like lines of dialogue after Allie like scares them in the barn is they're talking about Beyonce, and Emily's like, oh my god, like I love her new video, and Allison's like, maybe a little too much. And like is like Emily is not like out to any of the other girls to my knowledge. So like,
No, she doesn't come out until like this season.
yeah, I was gonna say I remember her like coming out being a part of the show. So why is Allie like trying to out her like all the time? It's so bad.
That A message was crazy. But looks
Yeah,
like you found another friend to kiss.
all their like A messages are about their like scandalous relationships, or like literally Hannah, like, well, Hannah's is a mix of like her shoplifting and her like used to be fat, which that's a whole different can of worms. But like Emily's is literally just like she kissed a girl who like moved in next to her, and that's the problem. Like, it's, yeah,
You're gay is the problem.
literally, it's so bad. Which like it makes sense when you know like like Emily's mom is in this episode for like 2 minutes, and they're talking about Aria. Yeah, Aria used to have like a pink streak in her hair, and Emily's mom is like, I never understood why someone would let their child do something like that. And Emily's like, dye their hair pink. Like, so like we do learn pretty quickly that like Emily's mom is the way that she is. but it's also like, yeah, like Emily's big like scandalous secret is just that she's gay. Like that is literally it. And the rest of them are like dating adults and like committing crimes.
It's like, and even Hannah's secret, like what Allison actually sends her is like, you used to be fat, and it's like that's not the secret. Like it's like
Yeah, like we all knew her a year ago. Like
you knew. I was like, if the other secret is she had an eating disorder, once again, that's like not a bad thing. Like she needs help.
yeah, no, literally, like it's so yeah. Literally, but like basically all of it. I mean, like even like Arya and Spencer, it's like, yeah, they like probably shouldn't be doing this, but also like they're the children in these situations. So like why can we send an A message to like Ren and be like, why are you kissing why are you trying to like hook up with a 16-year-old? Like I don't know, we need to be like targeting the wrong people here.
Allison or Arya's message, the one that ended the "just ask your dad" message. That is crazy.
That's the first A message we see too. So you're like, oh my god, A, like you're crazy for that. It's so funny.
Off the shits.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also,
I feel like.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like the the messages in this show are so like fucked up and unhinged, and I think about who A is and like how they're like how they're drafting these messages, like where do they get time in the day to be like, okay. And also I'm followed by I'm like, you need like a scholarship, like we need to support this young writer, this young comedian, like what the fuck. This is such good material and it's just getting wasted on these teenagers who are kissing adults, like please.
All off your techno boy toy.
Techno boy toy. Oh,
like when you look back, not to be like, damn, I'm like impressed by A, but like when you know the lengths that they were going to like uncover this information, I'm like, the CIA should be like in contact. Like it's literally crazy. And like, yeah, when you don't know who it is, it's easier to be like, oh, here's how like this person or that person could know about this. But it's like when you know and you know like how like what kind of like surveillance they were doing on these poor like high school, it's literally insane. Like not to be like I have to respect like your game, A, but like I
didn't know your game like that. No, I will say I am curious also, as someone who didn't watch the show while it was coming out or like have that kind of experience with it. I went into the show knowing who A was. Who did you guys think A was when you initially watched the show?
The thing was they did the thing, they did so many red herrings that it was genuinely hard when you were watching the show. Like the Mona one initially, I think I didn't really have any ideas of who A was. I didn't ever fully support the Arya's A theory. That was a really big theory, and some of the details make sense in that, like once again, everything starts once Arya moves back. I think like people, like if you lay it out objectively, Arya went through like the least worst shit. But I never like fully bought into it. I don't know. I don't even know who I thought was A.
Yeah, I also was never super sold on the like Arya's A theory. Especially because like by the time I was watching, I didn't know who A was, but like the show had already been out, so there was like less like there wasn't like theorizing going on, and I was trying to like not see it because I didn't want it spoiled. But they do a very good job of like you don't know who, like you do not have any idea who A is until like it is revealed in that like I think it's like the season 3 finale or whenever they like finally tell
there's
you.
One in season 2 and there's the one in season 6.
Okay. Yeah, but it's
and
like
then,
we have no idea. And yeah, there's a lot of like that's the thing is like at certain points there are like sort of like multiple A's. Like
I think I thought that Jason was involved at one point.
Yeah.
I think I definitely thought that Jason
was
a
lot of people
like
who were like part of like the like so-called like A team like
yeah,
a little bit. But like the actual like yeah, like being the mastermind of like the whole A thing is like kept pretty. Like they did a good job. And then like the second, well, the third A I would never have guessed because you know, but like the second one is a little like I
Yeah.
knew, and also like why did we write that? But
Yeah, it wasn't like, and I think like it wasn't like Gossip Girl, I think, as much where like this, but I think Gossip Girl was the same thing where like I think at least with this is I don't think they ever switched up who A was going to be. Because I do know that happened with Gossip Girl was that people guessed who Gossip Girl was, and so the writers changed it because people guessed it was like Serena's little brother, and then they were like, "No, we don't want you to figure it out," so they changed it.
So it's Dan.
Yeah, so it's Dan versus like this show.
Right.
Like I think like from that first, well, because I think especially the first season they were following the books, and who is A in the books is that initial A reveal in season 2 is the same as the book. So I think they were on track to follow that. I'm not sure about the thing, and well, because there was like the twin theory too. That was a really big thing. So I think a lot of people thought that like basically a twin of Allison was gonna be A, which I think something like that did play in the books. Was like there was a twin who like would switch out with Allie, so like that's how she knew the secrets.
Yeah, but then the show decided to do a different twin situation.
Twin thing. But yeah, but it's also so interesting knowing who A is and then seeing that character in like especially the first season.
that's why I'm like they have to have been like knew from the very beginning that they were going to keep that person as A, because like yeah, like it's when you're like rewatching and you know it's like you can see like, but yeah, they do a very good job of like there are a lot of characters on the show and like basically everybody has a motive for like being A or like not liking Allison, or because that's the thing, like Allison and then by extension the other 4 girls were like bullies, like they were not like look what like the whole like Jenna thing, like they're a protagonist but like they were like everybody at that school has a reason to hate them and like they're kind of justified for that, so like it's very much like literally any of these people could be A. I like there was like a theory for like a little bit that I saw once I like watched the show and was going down like the rabbit holes, that I saw some people saying that they thought Spencer's dad was A, which in hindsight would have been literally hilarious. But yeah, there's a lot of like any of the parents like potentially
Melissa, I think, was a big one.
Yeah, like all the siblings, like
Mike.
I
also think I don't like remember, but I also think like another like big element of the show from like what I remember too was like who killed Allie.
Yeah,
like that was like almost as big of a mystery as the who is A, because it was like who killed Allie or who tried to kill Allie. And there's like several red herrings too with that, like several red herrings and plot twists. Like,
the night of Allie's disappearance, and it's like, well, she talked to literally everyone in the entire town that night, so like anyone could have done it. And that's why like at the end of this episode when like Darren Wilden comes up and is like making it pretty clear that the girls are like being treated as suspects, and it's like, man, like I fear this is like every single person in this town had a motive to kill Allison De Laurentiis. It's like you are starting in the wrong place. Like these like 15-year-olds at the time probably didn't murder their friend and like bury her under a gazebo. Like I'm just saying, like I feel like you should know this by now, but whatever.
Well, he's too busy sleeping with one of their moms, so.
Okay, that's another thing actually in this episode, like which I thought was crazy, is that when he shows up to their house to like arrest Hannah for shoplifting, I'm like, do we really need to like handcuff a 16-year-old for shoplifting? Like, couldn't you just be like, come down to the station? Like,
Additionally, when Hannah's mom, when Ashley and Wilding come back to the Marin household to smash it out, the fact that Hannah is like watching TV, eating Ben and Jerry's chocolate chip cookie, mind you, great flavor choice. They're like pressed against the wall, like making out, and Hannah's just kind of like looking horrified, objectively, like 5 feet away, and they don't.
Oh, the lights are like fully on her, like
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And then her mom like gives like her like this like little glance, and then goes upstairs. I'm like, what?
I was like 16-year-old who stole a pair of sunglasses. Like, you probably could have just paid like a little fine and like sent them back. Like, it's just like, yeah, the fact that they like handcuff her and then her mom introduces like that whole relationship has an insane ending to it. So like, I just
Especially because we know that Hannah is actively shoplifting a lot, but
Yeah.
the police only caught her for one pair of sunglasses. So Ashley Barrett is doing all this, sleeping with a police officer to get Hannah out of this, and I guess like not reveal that she's been arrested for a single pair of sunglasses.
What was their official like evidence that they had saying? Because that could have been an honest mistake. Like she could have just
yeah, exactly.
That's
She
what
was like
caught her
trying
on
glasses
video.
on. I would have just been like, oh, I didn't even realize I still had them on. Like, or that they
Yeah.
were fine. Like, also the fact that they like don't get Mona too. Like,
no, exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Also, that mall scene had me crying because like it's Hannah being like Hannah and Mona doing this like cunty like we're shoplifting, and then she goes over to Spencer, and Spencer has the weirdest fucking vibe ever. Spencer's like, spend money here, and I was like, this is such a weird vibe to bring to this mall where like Hannah's having a good time.
the best part of that scene too is like, where Spencer's like, oh, you know, like, or Hannah's like, what have you been up to? And Spencer's like, oh, you know, like studying, like field hockey, whatever. And then Hannah's like, and occasionally you like Facebook and tweet. What does Spencer Hastings' Twitter account look like? I have got to know.
Okay. I love when Hannah goes tweet. What? I feel like Spencer's Twitter has
maybe 5 times, and I like still can't like fully figure out her thought process behind that tweet.
What is Spencer Hastings' Twitter like?
She's
I
working
feel like
for the Bears, so I'm like, is it just like a lot of like local politics?
Probably.
Yeah, pictures of her like OTD little
She's like
moment.
doing her like renovation of the barn in her backyard.
You know, Spencer would love Instagram stories.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that damn barn, which Spencer was like, so like, I did all this work so I can move into the barn. She never moves into the barn, even when Melissa is
also
gone.
that pisses me
Never.
off so bad because like her parents are like, yeah, you spent literally all summer renovating the barn and then you get to move in, and then her older sister just moves in there, and it's like, why don't her and Ren get like an apartment? Like, why are you living in a barn in the backyard of like your family's house? Like,
Money is no object to this family, obviously.
exactly. Like her parents would like buy them a house, and Ren is a doctor, and is Melissa also a lawyer? Like
Something.
and y'all
Is she
couldn't
in
like buy
law
your
school,
own
maybe?
place.
Melissa has an undisclosed career.
Because I know like her parents are loyal. Well, the point is they have money. They don't need to live in a barn. Like you could buy a place that, again, like why are you as like a newly engaged couple want to live in the backyard of your parents' house? Like,
Yeah, she's like, we need privacy. I'm like, because my apartment is being renovated. Get a new apartment. What is
literally,
happening?
like
Do a long stay hotel. Like that is, I can't. And once again, this is such a big plot about the barn, and then she never was into that damn barn. I don't even think we see the inside of it. Like we see it like maybe once, and I'm like, I want to know what the barn looks like.
no, literally, we never see the like renovated barn. We only see the like barn,
Flashback barn.
Yeah. I was like,
Bummer.
I think Toby lives in the barn at one point, doesn't he?
Please, I forgot about that.
Construction
Wow.
worker Toby has to live in the barn.
Oh, Toby.
When Toby shows up on the show, oh man, The things I've said about him. This is so unrelated, but another line in this show that made me laugh so hard is when they're like, it's the first day back at school, and Arya like shows up and she sees Hannah, and they're like, oh my god, I haven't seen you in like a year. And Hannah's like, why didn't you like call and see you back? It's so weird just running into you here. And I'm like, at school? On the first day of school? It's weird running into her? Like, it's so funny. Just like there's so much like random dialogue, and like there were so many like dialogue that feels so like, and you can't tell if it's because these people like aren't that good of actors or if it's like poorly written or both. Like they're at the funeral and Arya gets like a text and they all think it's A, and they like look at her and she's like, oh, it's just my mom sending me a text message. Nobody talks like
Hannah,
that.
And then it's so funny because I don't think we're the only one getting text messages or like messages from A. I was also like, why is your mom texting you at a funeral? Isn't she here?
That she's probably also at, like,
yeah. Is she like sending like a selfie from the like from where she's at? Like, not as great of a view as you do. Like, what are you talking about?
but like, my favorite is line delivery thing is when they find Allison's body and they're all like watching, and then Arya goes, "Did you hear that Hannah got taken down to the station again?" So, whoops, Hannah's Ashley Mary, your plan is already bugged because people barely know that she went down to the station. And Hannah goes, or Spencer goes, "You don't think she would say about and then Hannah walks up and goes, the Jenna thing? Never."
Okay, speaking of the Jenna thing
is like built up, and then you find out it was just them like literally permanently disabling a high schooler. Like,
yeah, just some light domestic terrorism.
Not even like they weren't like super responsible for it either.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no.
And then like blackmailing Toby into taking the fall.
So fucked.
We can't talk about that because then we get into the plot line where Toby is at Julie, and I just can't. I literally like that was a fever dream.
No, I do have to I can't lie. I do feel like this episode does do a good job of like, I don't know. There's something about the end of the episode where Jenna cuntily walks down with Toby, not real Toby.
Fake Toby.
Fake Toby, arm in arm as she's getting like led to her chair. I like was gagged.
No,
is Jenna just an awful, awful character? Nasty little creature. Yes. Is she the cuntiest character on the show? Perhaps.
And when Jessica goes, I didn't know Allie and Jenna were friends, and Spencer just straight up goes, they're not. They weren't. And I was like, holy shit.
It's like crazy this entire episode. Like there's this scene where like Ren is like, when she first meets like Ren and they're talking about the barn, and he's like, I know you were like hoping to move into the barn, and she said, well, you know what they say about hope breeds eternal misery, and then just like walks away.
Yeah, I also love when Ren is like smoking a cigarette and putting it out in a fucking plant that Spencer's just casually reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and like she's like a quarter of the way into it, the first day of school. What are you talking about, Spencer?
Well, there is like a on the board in Ezra's room. I think it's when him and Arya having that conversation where he's like, "We can't date because I'm your teacher," and she's like, "Well, this doesn't change anything." That conversation. There's like something on the board about like Atticus Finch, and I'm like, y'all literally came in on day one, and he was like, sit down and read To Kill a Mockingbird, and they're like definitely reading that book like the entire year, because there are like later scenes where they're like talking about To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm like, this should have been like a maybe a month-long project.
Also, 100% read To Kill a Mockingbird my freshman year of high school, so I have no idea why they're reading it their junior year.
That's what I was thinking.
When you're thinking about it, 100% Spencer is in some accelerated courses.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are they
like AP English?
Why are her and Arya like in like AP English? Like I get Hannah and like not Allie, Hannah and Emily not, but like Spencer is definitely not, because they said she was taking class at the community college. I was like, girl, and she's like, gotta sit down and read To Kill a Mockingbird. You probably read like War and Peace. Like, what's happening? Spencer knows political theory, but that's to
And
But it's-
Spencer, in the background, she's constantly reading the Communist Manifesto, just like, oh, interesting. Oh, I got a text.
Spencer's like, this is just like the Panopticon. She's like, it's kind of my real life right now.
Please. The Panopticon, like with an A though? Okay, wait.
Okay. That's gonna be like Spencer years later definitely published a book that was that. And like during her whole A
we
experience.
do know they're like, because the last season has like a time jump and we know all their like careers, and it's just like there's always gotta be
That's
that
so
like
random.
drama show where you're like, this is what these people are doing with their lives after all that they had to go through.
So you just went and got a job? Like what?
It reminds me of like, not to talk about Riverdale on the Pretty Little Liars podcast, but like after the Riverdale time jump, they're all like, yeah, and then I went to like Harvard and then Yale, and I'm like, I know y'all's grades were not good enough to get into Harvard when you spent all of high school like solving murders. Like there is absolutely no way that Veronica went to Harvard. Like we have got to be serious, and that's like kind of the vibe. Like obviously, like you know, like Spencer was gonna do something crazy, but like the rest of them, I'm like, I'm like surprised y'all even graduated high school. Like,
Is that like a plot that like Emily is barely graduating?
I
Yeah,
do
so
think
we're
that
like-
is,
I
yeah.
probably would be failing out of high school if this was happening to me.
Like I guess Hannah, it's like whatever. She probably like I know Hannah's like her whole thing is like she doesn't really care about school anyway. But she has her shoplifting activities to do.
I know she had like a shoplifting blog on Tumblr in the 2010s. Are you kidding? Wait.
That scene in the car with her mom, where her mom is like, "I buy you everything you need to be popular."
That was
Actually,
crazy.
Karen, like she was doing things that no other mother was doing. It is truly
Sad
not
is,
that.
like-
She's like, in a town like this, it matters what people think with you. Every man in this town is a pedophile, and they're doing fine. So like, I don't
Fine.
think anyone cares that your 16-year-old daughter stole a pair of sunglasses from the mall.
That was like such a big thing in like this first like season and this first episode. They were like, it really matters what people think in this small town. And then later, because of all the shit that goes down, no, it absolutely fucking does not.
Literally, yeah. Emily's mom says the same thing to her. She's like, when they're talking about Arya's hair, and Emily's like, well, not everyone dreams of making it in Rosewood. And I'm like, well, yeah, because this is kind of the worst town in the entire country from the looks of it.
It's pedophile USA. Like what?
It's also like so weird that Emily has that line because like Emily, the rest of her plotline is like not at all related to like getting out of Rosewood.
Yeah.
Like when she realizes she's gay and like comes out, she's like, okay.
Like, it's fine here. As if everyone's not like homophobic to her all the time, and that's like every plot line she has.
Oh, Emily.
Emily, my queen, I'm so sorry about everything.
Her little sporty spice outfit, the like denim skirt with the like striped V-neck, I was like, that's pretty cute.
Yeah.
Speaking of outfits,
no.
I was just gonna say, speaking of outfits, what was everyone's favorite outfit this episode?
Okay, my favorite outfit. Well, first, honorable mention to what Melissa is wearing when we first see her. She's wearing like a white cape with like a green dress under it. But my actual favorite outfit is this outfit that Spencer wears that's a white button down with like a cropped vest, and then she's wearing like an orange striped tie, like undone. She's just like hanging out in her room studying. Like, don't you all wear like sweatpants when you're home? Like, why are you wearing a tie? It's so funny. I literally could not stop laughing.
That was so funny. She's like, and he's like laying on her stomach, like doing homework. I'm like, girl,
Like, take that tie off, and it's not even like done. It's like around her neck. Like, just take it off.
Spencer is probably my favorite dress. I feel that throughout this, a lot of her outfits are going to be my favorite. My favorite was that one where she finds out Melissa's moving into the barn. It's like the gray sweater and the
Yeah.
like black plaid skirt, and then she has like some like black like high boots on, and when she walks away, like it's very cunty when she like slams the door. I'm like, ooh,
I
that's
also
probably
have
my
an
favorite.
honorable mention of like the way that they dress Ezra Fitz like your hot English professor. Like he's always wearing like a button down with like a vest over it. Like
His sleeves are like pushed up.
oh my god.
That's good. I also want to give a
Spencer
shout
has
out to
some
Ashley Marin's hair.
yeah.
They changed it, I think, in the one, but this first one with the bangs, like it's very good.
No, it is like Spencer had always made something crazy. And unfortunately, when I was watching the show, I was like, wow, I need to dress like Spencer Hastings. No, you don't, girl. No, you don't.
She was
I
my
will
preppy queen.
real. I feel like of all of their wardrobes, I feel like Spencer's and maybe Emily's aged the best.
Yeah.
Hannah's was just kind of like whatever, like it was just like whatever was like kind of in at the moment. Arya's is criminally offensive. Like they're in the first like couple of scenes, I think it's like the scene where she's gonna meet Ezra. She's wearing this little dress with just like this awful print, which was kind of cunty, but it had this like very like bold gold zipper on the back that I could not stop looking at.
And
It
she
was
puts on like a cropped leather bomber.
Yeah, she's always in like a cropped leather jacket. There's also the scene where she's like when they're at school and she's walking down the hallway and like pans up on her like brown boots up to her like dress and then like her like statement necklace that she's wearing.
She's also always wearing the shortest skirts
Yeah.
I've ever seen
Yeah,
on a
okay,
human
yeah,
being.
Rosewood High. People are always like, does like the school from Euphoria not have a dress code? Rosewood High does not have a dress code because it's like 2010. Like I had to wear shorts that went down to my knees in high school. Like, how are y'all wearing these like mini skirts and like everything Hannah wears? I'm like we weren't allowed to just have our shoulders showing at my high school. Like, how are you getting away with this?
Hannah, it's so unfortunate because I feel like half of Hannah's outfit is like business casual.
yeah.
Like she'll be wearing something and you're like, why are you wearing like it's not Spencer. Like Spencer wears blazers and it's preppy. It's like
Yeah.
Spencer's wearing like Hannah's wearing those weird like blazers that aren't really blazers.
Yeah, and she's supposed to be like the like it girl. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you are not wearing that.
And listen, as a fat bitch, I do think it's time for me to get on my soapbox. I do think that is representation for fat bitches because the clothing options, especially during that time period, were very limited. So even though she may be in her skinny era, inside in her heart of hearts, there is a fat girl who's like, I gotta wear this fuck ass blazer. That's my only option.
Oh, that's what
The
like
layers.
flashback. She's wearing like an oversized shirt and sweatpants and like a hoodie, probably because they were like, she's supposed to be fat here, but we are not going to do anything to make Ashley Benson actually look like plus sized at all. So we're just gonna put her in like a hoodie.
Which honestly, good on them, but also I'm like, girl,
Do it at all. I also want to also briefly who the fuck were these people hanging out with in the year when they were not friends? Besides Mona and Hannah, who were their friends?
No, literally. Well, okay, yeah, like Emily has like her boyfriend who we.
I guess we must have assumed that she's hanging out with people on the swim team.
Yeah.
Too,
But, like,
I guess.
Yeah, like Spencer has no friends whatsoever. Like, like that's
I
why
can't imagine
like,
Arya made many friends touring around Reykjavik.
Yeah, no, Arya just like I can't with all of them.
Yeah, like it's like later, and like hey, I like Spencer's in all this clothes. I'm like, yeah, but do people like her?
No, literally.
I think the answer is no.
No, I low-key feel like we talked about this earlier in the episode, but like the girls were menaces. Like they were not. I don't think that they may have been popular, but I don't think people like them.
No,
so I was trying to be like, yeah, it was like mostly Allie doing these terrible things, and the four of them just like supporting her, and it's like, well, why were they doing that? Like they
y'all were henchmen,
literally.
Yeah, like
and there's like, yeah,
minions.
Allie treated them terribly, but like there's four of you guys and one of her, and everyone hates her, so like.
I was like, once again, like I don't think Spencer like Spencer's personality is one of those personalities where you know that so many people, and because I have a Spencer Jason personality, where you know so many people in high school were like, can she shut the fuck up?
Yeah, I
Like,
thought
she
that's
is so
pretty
annoying.
Liar's character you related to when you were in like middle school, because
Spencer Hastings, my girl.
I was always a Hannah girly. Yeah,
I
we
feel
don't.
I feel like I would have been a Spencer girly, so
Yeah,
Spencer is huge
Spencer
for like
girly.
academic overachievement.
Oh yeah, I imagine Emily was also really big for gay girls.
Which was crazy. Well, I
Mm.
guess at the time I watched the show, I didn't know I was gay. Although I was just thinking about like watching this episode, I'm like, Spencer Hastings like could have been my gay awakening if I'd like thought a little harder about it. I remember being like so obsessed with her and like being like, oh my god, she's like so pretty. I literally love her so much, but like not putting pieces together. But like it could have been her if I'd watched the show like 2 years later, like. But now, unfortunately, my gay awakening forever will be a supernatural character. So if only I had been a little ahead of the game on that one, it could have been Spencer Hastings.
Oh,
I will also
wow.
say though, Shay Mitchell does seem like a very good choice for like a gay awakening for the girlies that it was like to see her kissing women.
It's
I
also like
imagine.
Maya. Like I feel like I
Oh,
should have watched that as a middle schooler and been like, oh my god, like. And the
you
fact that
understand, Emily.
yeah, Emily had taste for like one season and then never again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so troubling.
Oh my
It's
god,
so
I'm so sorry.
Maya St. Germain, you deserved a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of two black characters on the show, I
Oh
think.
yeah, it's so bad.
Mhm.
I think Emily's our only other person of color. Emily and her
I
parents.
I believe Mona is half Filipino.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, you are correct. Yeah.
Also, like incredible representation.
Yeah,
When people tell me
exactly.
they're dead or like sociopaths.
Perfect.
Oh, because when we get to the final A reveal, there's some weird implications, I think, with the representation there.
Yeah, we
Uh,
can't even like it's so bad. I don't like how did that get past like the writer's room?
I don't. I guess
It's
isn't Jenna also queer?
yeah.
Yeah.
She has like a girlfriend at one point. Incredible representation.
We won.
We won. You have Emily who only dates the worst people available.
Like she didn't have great options in that town, to be fair. So
Maya was really her one
literally,
Her
try.
one chance.
Do you think that school even has like a GSA?
No.
There's no.
There's nothing.
There is that girl. She dates that girl like very briefly, who's some like she's part of some like activist group, and they go on like a couple dates.
I'm gonna say something and it's gonna really put a wrinkle in it. I'm almost positive that she's from like a GSA from Hollis College.
It probably is because she definitely doesn't go to school with them.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah,
Right.
like everyone in that town is
Aw.
in high school or like a full adult. So never mind.
They said the problematic age gaps have no gender barriers.
Equality.
And isn't that truly what you want?
Representation matters.
Oh god.
God.
This show. Also, we haven't even been introduced to Ben yet, but just the mention of him like set like cold chills down my spine. Like I don't even want to think about him.
Yeah, I literally. Do you ever think about how that actor is also on Yellow Jackets?
Oh, that's so fucked.
Anyway.
He's like the coach, isn't he, or something?
Yes, he's their like coach who's also
Isn't he gay in that show?
And he has like a boyfriend back home, and that's like yeah. Damn.
Tables flipped on how the turntables.
Please.
Ben, Pretty Little Liars, I hope you die.
They write him out so quickly.
Oh, literally, because I'm like, why did you even like write that?
I
think
even
the whole point of it was to establish Toby as like some like savior person. But I'm like,
oh right, I forgot that
he
was.
could have just like been a nice guy. Like I guess he needed to do something drastic because he was like they all hated him and thought that he was like a criminal and like whatever. But like, yeah,
You know, after they framed him
literally,
for a crime.
oh my God, Toby. Yeah,
Okay.
best scene of the entire show is when Allie visits him at like juvie, and he's just wearing a do-rag, and I'm like,
Toby.
oh my God,
I
hate this show.
I also in relation to the outfits because I was looking up some of the outfits and it's like she's like Allison's like bullying Toby and Steve Madden legends. And that's just so funny to me.
Oh my God.
But the way that like Allison as 13 years old, I don't know if we've discussed this, I don't know if we're recording, but the all of the girls except for Allie were in their 20s. And Allison was 13, but the way she kind of came on that set and like immediately started eating them up.
Oh, like I fear she was out acting everybody else in this episode.
I think that's just like the pure like they needed that because like that is like just pure 13-year-old girl meanness.
Yeah.
That can't be recreated in an adult woman.
But it also, of course, makes it even weirder when it's like she's also dating like every adult man in the town, and you're like, well, this was already weird, but at least when it's like Spencer, you're like, I mean, it does kind of feel like I'm watching two like 25-year-olds kissing, but like when it's Allie, I'm like, you're like 15 years old right now.
Yeah, when it's Allie, you're like, oh, that actor is actually just a full-grown adult having to kiss
yeah,
a child. Whereas like it's like yeah,
can
Arya
you
and Ezra,
imagine
it's
how
like
this show would have gone so differently if they had like a 16-year-old playing Arya Montgomery, because you would have been like wild uncomfortable the entire time.
oh yeah,
Because she's an adult, it's like quote unquote fine.
yeah, because like we said, like it's very weird to watch Ezra when he looks the same age as them. It's like, oh well, he looks like Spencer. Like if they put him in different outfits, he could have been like playing one of the high schoolers.
Oh, literally. He's probably like the same age as like the people who were playing like Caleb and whoever. Like,
oh yeah, because that's true. Like when he eventually does like pair up, like when you do see him standing next to like Caleb and Toby, he doesn't look out of place, despite the fact that Caleb and Toby are supposed to be like more around
sorry, I
their
just had
age.
like a war flashback to the Christmas.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh my God. Anyway, as soon as you said them standing next to each other, I was like, I'm right back there. Okay, do we want to say our biggest slays and flops for the different girls? I feel like we've kind of got into them, but like I fear for some of them it was really hard to find slays.
I don't. Yep. Who do we want to start with?
I think we have to start with Arya because this is her episode, very much so. I just
the flop was actively pursuing her teacher.
Yeah, that's the flop. My more specific flop, because I was like, that's her flop all the time, was when they kissed at Allie's.
I think the closest she got to slay was when she was kind of mean to her dad.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm gonna keep your secret, Dad.
Yeah,
I'll say Slay driving her little brother to lacrosse practice. That's very nice and helpful.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, she didn't slay much, I fear.
I fear she won't.
Yeah, I fear she doesn't slay very often. Which was probably why they were like, she is no longer the central main character of this show.
We can't have her.
I have to know, like, how quickly did they realize that people were like not vibing with her at all, and they had to like even it out with the other girls? Like, I want to know how soon they were like, shoot. our audience does not want to see more of this girl.
I know, I'm curious if you can see kind of the screen time decrease throughout the upcoming episodes. Or if that was like feedback they got like immediately after the pilot.
The pilot aired and everyone was like, we need less of this Arya girl.
Cut it. Emily, slays and flops.
Personally, my slay for Emily is smoking weed for the first time.
My slay was flirting with Maya
Yeah.
for Emily.
I think my slay for her was when her and her mom are having that conversation where she's like, some of us don't want to stay in Rosewood, and then just like kind of dreamily looked off. I was like, yeah, ate her up.
And then she literally does stay in Rosewood.
Right.
Unfortunate. But it's fine because Rosewood of the like 5 years or whatever the future is like fine with gay people apparently, so
she paved the path.
And then my flop for Emily was that she has a boyfriend.
That was also my flop, is dating back.
I mean,
my flop for Emily was specifically the throwing the garbage away scene. I mean, that's not really on her, but the fact that she wasn't like, wait a second. Like, she almost did. She, like, looked at the metal there for a second, but then, like, come on, girl, that's Allison's thing. It's like, shit.
You don't want to keep any of that?
No, literally.
Oh my god. What about Hannah?
My slay and flop are one and the same, which is shoplifting.
Yeah.
I also was like, something
flop.
that could have been a slay or a flop, which was bringing a flask to Allison's funeral and like passing it around to you
at the front row.
Next to her mom and sitting right next to them. Oh my god.
Like, slay, I guess, shoplift from major department stores, but flop of then having that be the reason your mother has to like sleep with a police officer.
And also said police officer becoming like literally obsessed with you for some inexplicable reason.
Oh,
like she shoplifted once and Wilden was like, I am gonna take this girl down.
This 16-year-old girl is going to jail.
Like when there's a scene later on where like when he's like calling them for their interviews, which we'll get to it, but like why are they having police interviews in like the office of their high school? But whatever. But like, and she gets called down like a million more times and he's like, and she literally goes like, why are you like, or I think her mom comes in and is like, why are you having like extra meetings with my daughter while her and Wilden are still like hooking up? Anyway, but yeah, that was slay / flop.
What about Spencer?
Once again, Spencer usually does slay, but like in this episode, I was like, gee, like I think for my slay, I just kind of had like renovating the barn, even though we don't get to see it, but like I have to believe she like ate it up if her sister wants to live in it, so
my slay was interest in local politics. I was like, oh, slay, interning with the mayor, like, yeah, get involved in that. Like, I want to see Spencer Hastings at like a city council meeting.
Very, very similarly, my my slay for Spencer was active on social media.
Yeah. Because these are all things that we're just told about Spencer that we don't see.
No, exactly.
Because everything she does in this episode is like objective.
Questionable.
Yeah, she was kind of in the trenches this one. She was kind of
is like flirting with her sister's fiance.
Yeah.
When he's like literally like giving her a massage and when he's like giving her a massage in the kitchen and then she goes outside and Melissa comes downstairs like, who are you talking to? And he's like, no one.
Oh, okay. Also, all of the moaning sounds she made, I was like, that is unnecessary. Good lord.
Like, if I'm Melissa Hastings and my sister has like a track record of like hooking up with my fiancés, I would be keeping that man like out of the house.
Like, absolutely not.
Anyway.
I also I also do think it's kind of slay that she just basically like threatens Allie right back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's like, I'm gonna tell Melissa, and she's like, well then I'm gonna go to the police about the Jenna thing. And they're like, okay.
Also, Allie being like, you need to tell Melissa about Ian. Girl, do not even play it right now. We all know. We all know. Like,
The fact that Allie blackmails, like, it's so funny to me. Like, I get that's the point, but like Allie blackmailing all of them when she's doing things that are 10 times worse than any of them, and not sharing secrets. It's not keeping you very close, Allie.
Did we go through all of them?
Yeah, because there's not really enough
Yeah.
Allison in this episode for
flop
Yeah.
is like
Eh.
her.
like,
I feel that her flop and both her flop and slay is disappearing.
yeah.
Mm.
She's playing like the long game on her sleigh. Like,
Mm.
Eventually,
Watch the space.
We'll get a really big Allie slay.
yeah. her one massive sleigh that she has the entire series.
Allie does kind of flop a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She's kind of a girl failure, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Once again, but then you like remember what makes her so slay though too is then you remember that this is a 13-year-old playing her, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of so slay that you're doing all this though. You're kind of killing it.
I also have, I have my favorite A message. I fear they're all so good in this episode, but it has to be the iconic one they get at the end that they all read out loud together outside the funeral.
The shot pulls away and they're all looking at their phones in that little like semicircle.
And Arya's wearing her like her like tight like lace tights at the
Their funeral outfits are always so crazy.
literally. I'm like, y'all are literally in the front row at your best friend's funeral and you're like trying to slay so hard. Like,
it's not about you.
It's like that scene in Fleabag where they're getting ready for like their mom's funeral and she's like, I just look so good right now. I don't know what's happening. Like that's what I see when you see like Spencer at the funeral, and I'm like, girl, you did not need to do like full face of makeup, like put on your like brand new like most expensive dress. Like this is your best friend's funeral.
He was wearing like 6-inch heels,
and none of them are even like emotional.
No, not a single. No one was crying in that damn church. Like not a single tear.
Like, imagine watching this for the first time and not knowing everything we know about Allie. I'm like, okay, I understand why like not a lot of people were gonna miss her that much, unfortunately, because she like sucked. But like, imagine watching this for the first time and be like, a 16-year-old or like a 15-year-old died and like nobody seems upset. Like,
well, because like even like Emily's like the only one who cries, and she doesn't even cry at the funeral. It's just like when they find the body. Because like the rest of them, when the body's found, they're all like,
ooh.
Oh no. And then they're like, oh, what about the Jenna thing? It's like, well, Allie's dead.
It's crazy too, because like the Jenna thing didn't even come up. Like, they just were like, oh my god, what about the Jenna thing? It's like, what about like your friend's body that's literally being like pulled from the ground right now? Like,
we need to get a grip.
I will say my favorite A message, I did love that last one. It's so iconic, but I do think my favorite A message was the just ask your dad one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That there's something so vicious about that, to be like, you're kissing your teacher and also your dad's cheated on your mom. Like, damn, double homicide in that A message.
L plus ratio plus.
The one that A sends Hannah that's like, I hear prison food makes you fat. And I'm like, literally chill. Like, literally, you did not consider twice with that one.
That's not her best work. That's really not her best work.
She forgot she had to send a text. She had 30 seconds to make one up. It wasn't her.
She just saw Hannah was going to the police station and was like, oh fuck.
Shit.
She was like, shit, I didn't plan this one.
But you
just always have to imagine like in the layer with like a laptop, like 5 flip phones, like 2 computers, like sending all these messages at once.
My question, do
Do
they
you
ever try to call the phone number?
I feel like they do. I feel like Hannah
They
does.
do. At one point, like, it is very weird. Like, something happens where, like, at one point they do, like, try to block all the number, like, the number.
Oh yeah, when they all block A's number.
And then, like, somehow it's like, and then they just, like, get a
I
text
think
and they're like,
I think that's the episode where A writes the message on Spencer's mirror, and they're like, "Jungle red, that's Allie's color,"
Oh my god.
which is one of my favorite scenes of the entire show. But yeah, they do all like
Okay.
block A's number at one point. I also am
yeah.
like, when A sends messages to all of them at once, is this in like a group chat, or is A like hitting send like
on 5 servers. And then, like, what? Like, are they on the same service provider? Because, like, what if one of you has a different service provider and, like, the message comes in slower?
Oh, please. One of them being like, I didn't get it.
I guess it's not for me.
Especially like
I was at
2010. Like, I know y'all's service is not that reliable. Like,
no. And on, like, little,
A
like,
had,
what's
like,
it, flip
20, like,
phones,
yeah, A
slide
had like
phones.
20 like Wi-Fi hotspots going in that layer. Like, oh yeah, like imagine like what happens if A like doesn't have service? Is it just over? Like,
So, do you think
A's like,
she
"My
has
bad, that
each?
was supposed to go through like 10 minutes ago."
They're like away from the scene, and they're like, what?
That's the thing with A, is that A like literally never slips up once. That's another. That's why I'm like, you have to like respect the game, because I'm like, every message goes through at like the exact right time. Like, and knowing that A has other shit they're doing. Like, they're not just sitting in their like layer 24/7. Like, they have a whole life outside of that. Like, oh my god, it's crazy.
They've got class to get to.
Oh my god.
Because it was like when Gossip Girl, it was like, okay, Gossip Girl isn't usually like delivering as much of like up to the minute information. It was like a blast, but like it's like it was indirect responses to things happening in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like it was very on it. We did not get to the A because I don't think we're that far in, but the way they never use they pronouns for A,
Not he,
they will always say she, it.
which gets so much worse during the later A season.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Herm.
Yeah, but because like I was like also or like just use she, because at this point like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's like not that far fetched. Because they're just think of her as like Allison basically.
Yeah.
And we know the pronouns of the people who were it.
Mm-hmm.
But the it kills me every time. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my god.
that's what the fuck are we saying? Oh, good lord.
But first,
Any
honestly, a pretty good pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, it hooks you, I fear.
It hooks you.
Great.
It has all the good hallmarks of early teen shows, which is like insane drama, people making out, crazy outfits.
It's just the fact
Mhm.
that it's like your best friend just died, and yet your like biggest concern right now is that you like find your sister's fiance hot. Like,
Priorities.
The trials, it truly is the trials and tribulations of being a teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
no, like I fear that is the realistic part of the show.
Yeah, I was like, I will say the show does do a good job of like some of the little things they go through like do seem like world ending.
Girlhood is a spectrum.
It is a spectrum, and Pretty Little Liars is the full spectrum of girlhood.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any final thoughts?
It's iconic. I will never forget that very last scene where they read the A message outside the funeral. It's so funny.
Yeah, that it really is that is like the moment,
Hmm.
and it will forever be one of the moments in teen drama. Like some teen dramas today, like I do feel like I don't know if they're making teen dramas like Pretty Little Liars anymore.
I fear they're not.
No.
This is also like
And I-
real. It's like you need the full like 20 episode seasons to have room for all the like insane drama. Like you could never condense this into like a 10 episode season. Like there's way.
No.
And Pretty Little Liars is also like every episode is like jam packed with stuff going on. Like you do not get time, like space to breathe in this show. Like there's always something like think about how many things happen in this pilot alone, on top of the fact that they had to like provide like exposition and like, but there is like insane stuff happening from minute to minute on this show. Like it's literally crazy.
Yeah. And the first season too, if I remember, it's like almost every single episode of the first season has like a flashback to when Allie was alive. So we're like getting
we needed like a flashback episode to piece together the events of like that night, because like she was busy. She had places.
But we also get like other flashbacks from that summer. I remember like that one where they're just like on the beach.
Oh yeah. God.
Oh, kind of iconic. Going forward, we'll be covering likely 2 episodes per podcast, but this first one is such a big episode. We needed the space to discuss, but going forward, we'll be doing a little bit more condensed to get through it a little bit faster, and also because usually 2 episodes can be covered, but that's the first episode of Pretty Little Liars.
Got a secret, can you keep it?
Every episode ends with us singing the
theme song.
Because 3 can keep a secret.
A secret.
If one of us is dead.
Oh my God.
There was supposed to be a 4th host and they died.
Our 4th host has been missing for a year.
Oh no!
All of a sudden we all get a text message.
I'm back, bitches.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the first episode of 3 Can Keep a Secret. Please make sure to subscribe to get notified when new episodes come out, which will be bi-weekly, and follow us on Twitter. Our link will be in the description. Thank you once again for listening. Kisses, A.